have some really wonderful things going on here. We've had some lovely things going on here. A little later in the program, I'm going to ask our 3 teachers who are here for the workshops to actually tell you a little bit about what's going on. But in the meantime, let's do our talk and then we'll come back to that. So this morning, my talk is about eschatology. This month, my theme is big words for big ideas. And we've talked about entelechy, which is the Aristotelian philosophy theory or concept that there is an actuality that is present versus its potentiality in our minds. So potentiality is the divine spirit behind everything which knows only perfection. What shows up in actuality is often warped by the gravity of the lens through which the human eye sees it. And the week after that, I talked about exegesis, which is the translation of literary passages, especially the Bible, reworking them as metaphysicians we often do. Last week, my talk was about epistemology. Don't you love all these big words? Epistemology is, I've looked these up so many times you wouldn't think I have to read this. The study or theory of the origin, nature, methods, and limits of knowledge. And although there's no limit to wisdom, there often seems like there's a limit to the knowledge that we have about things, which there is. Every time we find some new truth developed through science or whatever, we also find it presents us with 1,000 more questions to answer once again. Today I'm talking about eschatology. Eschatology. Eschatology is actually the theology of last things. Last things. Death. Your last will and testament. All those things that come at the end of cycles are about eschatology. But we're talking about the really big ones in a human life. Because we often think that our humanness is who we are. That humanness is, we think these human bodies are who we are. And when we come up to the concept of the last breath that this human body takes, we might think somewhere deep in our consciousness that it's the last of us. It's the last of the I am that I am. But the I am that I am is the eternal everything, always. When Moses said, "Who shall I say sent me?" God said, "I am that I am." And God is always saying, "I am that I am. I am that I am. I am that I am. I am that I am." I am always present, everywhere, always in all of us. And we have no ending. But the important thing to remember is that we also have no beginning. We have always existed, not as Grace Lovejoy, not as the individual incarnation that we have taken this time around, but because we have always been. There is no way for us not to be. And in Hinduism, the Upanishads say, "He who thinks he is slain knows not. He who thinks he slays knows not." To think that we end, you do not know the truth of who we are, of who you are, of who I am. We are eternal beings, everlasting. And we're here in this carnation to remember it, to remember for everyone around us, and to remember that that truth is ongoing. So that we don't live in these small little waves that keep us thinking that someone has hurt or harmed us in some way. The eternal presence cannot be hurt or harmed ever at all. And the eternal witness knows that. The essence of who you are, the thing in back of the thing, knows that there's only things happening. They're not good or bad. They are just being experienced as fully as we can. And when we can turn our mind towards what we really know, the theology of last things, when we come to that final breath, we release ourselves out into the world, not into this world, back out into the existence that we have always had, back out into the expansiveness. Look how small these bodies are. No matter what you think of the size of your body, it's small. Comparatively speaking, it's small. It's containing you in a physical form, in a vessel that is too small for who you really are. And how we move outside of this vessel is through the joy of what we're willing to share around us. So we want to be perpetually looking at the things that we want to share with the world at large. And every single one of us has some great talent, some great gift to give to the world. It is whatever makes you joyful. It is whatever makes you joyful. That is the thing that you are designed to share out into the world at large. It's a big thing. It's the only thing you really came to do. And there's so many ways to express it. And the classes that we have coming up are all about that thing. We have Roger Ford, who will be talking about healing in America. And he's talking about the energy that we have and that we are is healing energy. And we'll be talking with Todd Waddington, who's going to be teaching an Artist's Way class. The creativity inside of ourselves should not be suppressed or repressed or kept small from something some person told you when you were 5. That is keeping you from expressing your full self. He'll tell you more about that. And then my beloved friend Linda Fisher is teaching a class called You Are Enough. You are enough. And if you're not actually expressing yourself in those creative ways, in those healing ways, you don't understand fully what that means. Who you are is enough. And Linda can help you find that underneath whatever's going on in your life. So if you just need those little boosts in remembering who you are, come to class. We got you covered. But I want to talk about Ernest Holmes, who also knows his own immortality. Trickier than it might seem. This is one of my favorite passages. It's in Ernest Holmes' chapter on immortality, chapter 23. It is not merely pleasing and satisfactory to suppose that we pass from this life to the next in full and complete retention of our faculties. It is logical. Jesus revealed himself to his followers after his resurrection. By the way, he died first. Nobody gets out alive. Jesus revealed himself to his followers after his resurrection to show them that death is but a passing to a higher sphere of life and action. To know that we maintain an identity independent of the physical body is proof enough of immortality. This, together with the fact that remembrance maintains a constant stream of recollection, and the realization that mentality can operate independently of the body, performing all of its normal functions without the aid of the body. That the new theory of matter and ether furnishes proof of the possibility of a body within a body to infinity. That the inner man is constantly forming matter into the shape of a body. All these evidences should prove to us that we are not going to attain immortality. We are not going to attain immortality. But that we are now immortal. Right now. Our contention is not that dead men live again, but that a living person never dies. That's the truth of who you are. A living person never dies. And right now we hold the memories of so many of our friends. Jennifer's friend, who was the composer, who is? Susan J. Paul. We have this chair. You might have said to yourself, what is that chair doing on the stage? This is a remembrance of my brother. My brother, Howie B. My brother, Howard Booth, whom we often called How Boo. I now call him the How Buddha. Now he knows everything. When you get a chance, you must come up and see this wonderful chair, this really beautiful chair. We're sitting here, Babsy, at my sister-in-law's house. Babsy looks at this leg and she says, "Did Howie fix that for you?" You must come see the repair job. It's just absolute proof that there are many ways to skin a cat. I think that's probably an apt phrase, by the way. You must take a look. It's a remembrance for me, a reminder. It will be sitting in my living room. If I was looking for a fine piece of furniture, that would not be sitting in my living room. If I'm looking for a remembrance of my brother, it will be sitting in my living room. It's a fabulous chair. And it's those last things, those last ways and imaginings of how we live our life that can give us grace. And the thing that we often forget to do is to remember on a constant, moment-by-moment basis that we're going to die. The physical body will be left behind when the spirit that we are moves beyond the physical remains. And you might think that that is a sad or morbid thought, but it's not. The more that we remember that we are immortal, and the more that we remember that this physical life that we're in right now does not last forever, nor would we want it to, when we get up into those triple digits, and I hope every single one of you does, and my voice is the last one you hear, when we all get into those triple digits, it's too hard to wear around these biomechanical bodysuits. They have a mortality. They're only good for so long. And sometimes you have to get replacement parts. You know, I had a liver transplant. So I went out there to the edge of this human body and got a new part. I love that part. I love that we are so much one that we have interchangeable parts. That's a lovely thing to know nowadays, isn't it? Oh, I have friends who had new knees put in. You know, interchangeable parts. It's just proof that this physical thing can be repaired and we replace constantly parts of it, but that the thing will stop eventually. And we'll expand back out of this tiny little vessel, back into where we have always been, back into our great expansiveness. And we will be loving this life with all of its pitfalls and foibles, with all of its joys and thrills, and with all of the expansion of our human consciousness that we're moving into because now we're aware, golly, I'm going to die, I better get on with it. That's the thing that came to me when I got the diagnosis with when the doctor said, okay, well, don't look at the old textbooks because the prognosis was about 5 years. Wow. 5 years is a long time if you get a terminal illness diagnosis, you know. But he says it's really more like 10 or 11. That's not much comfort. And I just stood there. It was astonishing to me. I just stood there and went, don't be silly, I don't speak French. I never took ballet. I haven't learned to watercolor. I haven't seen the Aurora Borealis. It cracked me up eventually what I had thought of, and I said that to him. Wow. I better get on with it. So within 3 months, I had taken up ballet. It was very fun. It was very fun. Am I ever going to dance on point again? No. I'm sort of sorry I did it the first time because I have a toe that's bugging me now. But you know, it's like, I did it. I did it. I stood up on point, danced in the Nutcracker, looking like a giant 8-year-old. Skill level still looks the same, you know. I loved it. It was a very exciting adventure. Do not miss the adventures in your life for thinking that you've got plenty of time. Get on with it. It's time to do something remarkable. Because Ernest has something more to say.